Or you can DM us on Instagram. We are at GaytriarchsPodcast. On the internet, David is at DavidFM everywhere, and Gavin is at Gavin Lodge at Happy Hour.
Do that one again because you didn't say my name right.
Oh. Or you can DM us on Instagram. We are at GaytriarchsPodcast. On the internet, David is at DavidFM Vaughn everywhere, and Gavin is at Gavin Lodge. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I'm sorry. I'm so lucky that you've only fired me 16 times.
I fired you twice today. And this is Gaytriarchs.
So I was picking up my daughter at a play date the other day, and the house was being run by a puppy. The puppy was teensy, like I was able to hold it on one arm, but you could tell the entire household was revolving around this puppy. And the mom was like, I've never had a dog before. I mean, it's just like crazy. Like I'd leave it for all day while I go to work, and it's just pooping all over the place and peeing all over the place. And I said, being a fairly experienced dog owner, I'm like, well, you do crate it, don't you? It's a brand new puppy. It's just a few weeks old. She's like, oh, but she just cries so much. And I'm like, oh, come on, mama, you have been a parent. Like this is sleep training, girl. You have to sleep train this puppy. And while you never exactly you did put a baby in a cage because it's called a crib, and the baby stays in the crib and it keeps itself safe, and it's safe and it's warm and it's cozy and it's in a safe space, and you sleep train it. Like, girl, you're a parent. You should be able to know how to raise a dog. And the whole conversation was just like those comparisons about puppies and babies. Because, I mean, for us, the dog was training wheels for parenting, you know? And in some cases, babies were easier, frankly.
I could see the article already. It says, Gavin Lodge says Yorkshire Terriers are just like babies.
Yeah.
Like, I just see it already.
That's fine.
But it's not untrue. Like, it's not untrue about the things. It's so funny that you tell this story. We have not just talked about what we're going to talk about, but literally the thing that I was going to talk about was these things where you have to do something hard in the short term.
Yep.
For a longer term.
Yes.
Like value. And I'm struggling with it right now with my 4.5-year-old, where he is such a dick all the time that I just kind of give up, and I'm like, well, then fuck you. I don't want to play Legos with you anymore. And then of course I become the 4.5-year-old, but then I'm like, no, this is a short term. And so like last night he was like, he has 15 minutes after his iPad before we have to go to bed. It's like, what do you want to do? You want to play magnet tiles? You want to tell stories? You want to do this? And he's like, I want to work on this Lego car, which somebody gave him, and it's for like 12 and up. So it is millions of the smallest little pieces.
You know, Legos, they do not misadvertise. The ages are appropriate. Even if you have a little Einstein, which of course we all have little Einsteins, the fact is a 4-year-old needs to do 4-year-old Legos. It's just...
And the instruction manual is as big as Anna Karenina. It's insane. So
have you read Anna Karenina?
Gavin, do you think do I look like a person who's ever read Anna Karenina? But you know, he's like, no, this is the thing I have to do. And so here's what happens in my brain. I go, I can play out the next 10 steps of this. I'm going to take it out. You're going to ask me to do it. I'm going to say, no, you have to do it. We're going to get an argument. He's going to start doing it. He's going to cry that he can't do it, but he's going to want me to do it. And I'm going to say, well, then fine. And then we're going to get an argument, and we're going to run upstairs, and everyone's going to be mad at each other, and bedtime will be ruined. So I'm just trying to not get this Lego set out. Mm-hmm. So, but then I go through this debate in my head over and over again. I'm like, yeah, but you're not giving him the chance. But the other person on my shoulder is like, yeah, but you know he's not going to want to do these Legos. So I feel like this is a common thing we go through with like this short-term pain for long-term gain. Like at what point does it actually pay off, Gavin, with older kids? Tell me. It's a real question to you, because I am just giving up at this point with like being nice or asking me things.
My actual thought is the amount of times my partner has said to me, Gavin, you realize you're the adult in the situation, right?
Oh, and that's the saddest thing I've ever heard in my entire life.
and you cannot be the child stomping away from your own kids and wanting to be like, well, fine, then stay there, right? But
that's That's literally me. I'm literally
I know.
well, then fine, you can play by yourself. Fuck off. And I walk to the other room. And my husband's like, maybe you should act like a 44-year-old man.
I will say in too much of a sincere tone that I think that the frankly obsessiveness that I brought to early parenting, which included good eating, diverse eating, which included not tolerating shitty behavior, I do think it has worn well on us. And partly, I suppose that comes down to us talking about OPKs, not liking other people's kids. And when I look at behaviors in other kids that I don't like, I think to myself, well, I do think that we avoided that because of the slow burn commitment to setting boundaries like you do with a dog, and
it's true.
Setting limits and not giving in. I mean, so often, how many times do you have to think to yourself, it would be so much easier to give in for my short-term gain? And it's a marathon. Parenting is a long,
but
arduous
and it's funny,
marathon.
I did it in infancy, right? Like we were hardcore about sleep training, bedtimes, meals,
no sugar,
eating. No sugar, like the applesauce cake of 11. But like I don't know why I'm struggling with that at 4.5, because he's like a person now, and he's like throwing me shit. He'll just like walk downstairs and roll his eyes at me and walk away. And I'm like, well, then fuck you. I didn't do anything. You just woke up. What are you doing? And so I forget that like this is just another version of an infant. This is just a fucking chihuahua. This is a Yorkshire Terrier that needs to be crated. All right, so I'm going to put my son in a crate tomorrow, and I'll tell him Uncle Gavin told him to do this.
Completely unrelated, I do have a little bit of gay news to share with you, okay?
Ooh.
I was noticing something that I thought, people might appreciate knowing this. I was listening to another one of my favorite podcasts, shout out Switched on Pop, which is two NPR nerds who pick apart pop music. And it is wonderfully NPR-ish. And they do... I mean, they really break down music for all its musical components, and they talk about sus4s and backtracks, and I don't know, it's very, very in the weeds. But they were saying that recently UNESCO designated Berlin techno as a culturally vital element of UNESCO heritage for the country of Germany. Like, along with, I don't know, the pyramids, Yellowstone, and other cultural artifacts, Machu Picchu, they have designated Berlin techno music as being a culturally relevant, important thing to preserve.
I could just see the side text between like the Machu Picchu and the pyramid. There's like a side text, and they're like, "Did you hear about Berlin techno?" And they're like the nonstop eye roll emojis that would go on in that text thread.
Totally.
But then there's the group text thread that includes Berlin that says, "Congratulations,
just added
boo.
you.
So excited for you.
Welcome to the club."
Totally.
But so then, of course, they went down a deep dive of Berlin techno, and it definitely made me just want to like go rave and and they were picking apart the attributes of Berlin techno, and it was pretty hilarious to hear two NPR nerds talking about it. But I thought, you know what? I think the gays would appreciate knowing that you are not wasting your time by listening to dancing to all night long Berlin techno. Pretty fun. Anyway,
you know what is a big waste of time?
Do tell.
Our top 3 list.
Gaytriarchs top 3 list. 3, 2, 1.
So this is my week. So my top 3 list this week is what are the top 3 non-traditional places to run around in with your toddler?
Yep.
Listen, I have young kids, you have older kids, but we all know that as parents, we are desperate for places to exist with our children where we can partially ignore them. So here are my, other than like the play places and parks and stuff like that, here are my top 3. The number 3 for me is, we live in the New York City area, is the train. Literally, we will take the train from our town into Manhattan. We'll get right back on a different train and come right back out.
Fantastic.
And it is so great because they crawl around the seats. It's like, it's an enclosed space. It's exciting. There's all the stuff passing. So it's pretty good.
Love it.
Number 2. Now, this is only for very, very, very young kids, like under 1.5. Barnes and Noble. because
oh yeah.
their like little kids book, like board book section has like stuffed animals. There's rarely anybody over there, and they're not going to destroy the place, and they'll just sit in your lap and read books. So that's a great one.
Love it.
Number one for me, this is our go-to, Bob's Discount Furniture. Because it is a giant warehouse full of soft surfaces they can climb on and not destroy anything. And they often have like little free ice creams. We very often will spend an hour or two at Bob's. And they're all, I always feel so bad. These guys are like, can I help you find something? We're like, oh no, we're just looking. No, we're not. We're just here to experience your couches for free. So that's my list. What about you?
All three of those are very, very relatable. So on my list, I would say, shocker, and it's only my number 3, not my number 1, is bars. I loved it.
Gavin.
Being able to go to a bar with friends. Earlier in the daytime, not necessarily late at night, although there was a time that I had my newborn in a baby Bjorn at a bar, actually after rehearsing for the Macy's Day Thanksgiving parade, which was actually very fun. But anyway, you know what? I just like bringing a little levity to a bar situation. Number 2, cemeteries. I think it's kind of interesting.
This list is taking turns I did not expect.
I welcome being among the spirits, talking about life and death, and letting my kids, some people might clutch their pearls at the idea of touching headstones, but I'm like, you know what? This is part of life, is death, and nobody's going to yell at me to just like let them kind of run crazy around, right? Number 1, airplanes. Now, I don't let them run crazy, but I do think that being able to walk up and down those aisles with a young kid is important, to just like let them explore and see the people and touch the things, even though those poor people being touched accidentally or being flirted with when they don't want to flirt with the toddler is a pain in the ass. But I will never forget the time that I was on an international flight with my daughter, who was, I think, 10 months old at the time. She absolutely needed to get up and move. It was a long flight. So I let her crawl with me behind her. I didn't just let her go, but I let her crawl on the floor. And several of the people were like, oh, you couldn't possibly. And I'm like, listen, she's not crying. She's not screaming right now. Yes, she's picking up every single dirty germ from the floor of an airplane, but I don't know. I mean, schools are worse, and daycare is worse. So it's an airplane, whatever. And it was a non-traditional place that I felt good about, like letting her explore and flirt with other people as she went up and down. So there you go.
So what are we doing next week?
All right. Well, if you might see that I like themes. That is true. I like themes. And I want to hear, what are the 3 best things about you as daddy, according to your kids? Our guest today is a multi-hyphenate author, speaker, advocate, trans father, shaking up all things normative. Like Serena Williams, Demi Moore, and every other celeb taking high fashion baby bump nudie pics, our guest did the same, but as a man. Please welcome to the show the revolutionary Trystan Reese.
There was no nudity.
Well, it was close. It was close. You were able to be, simply shirtless, right? And it was fantastic.
I don't think I did any shirtless photos.
Oh my God! Then this intro is complete bullshit.
Gavin,
in my mind,
we are in 10 seconds into this interview, and you've completely railroaded it. You've offended our guest. Oh my God!
Clearly, I just fantasized about shirtless pictures of you with your baby bump.
Weird. That is so weird.
That's so weird. Well, moving on from all of the awkwardness that I completely fucked up here. How have you? Besides from me, how have your kids driven you bananas today?
Oh my God.
I love it already.
That's your question. So this morning I had to say to my 13-year-old, hey, remember when you didn't do the laundry last night and you promised you would get up early this morning and do the laundry? Did that happen? And then she said, I never promised. I just said.
She's like, Your Honor, if you'll check the tape, actually. No.
All right. That. So semantics driving us all off the deep end for sure.
Yeah. And then my 6-year-old is like snotty, gross and coughing. And we were like, it's probably allergies and just took him to school. So we'll see how that goes.
I know the parking lot of daycare, wipe the nose, get you gussied up. I know that whole routine where you're like, we're going to walk really fast past the administrator so they don't hear you coughing and then dump you in daycare. And
you're in a
GTFO.
safe space for all of that, for sure. I mean, after all, school is just a petri dish anyway. But also, I mean, it is so past cold season, so obviously.
And I gave him a Benadryl and patted him on the butt, sent him into school. So hopefully,
good luck with your life. Yeah. I have done that more. I hope we don't have any listeners that are at my daycare, because I have so many times in the parking lot being like, you're not sick, you're fine, you don't have a temperature, just pouring medications down their throat, wiping their faces and pushing them in. I mean, remember past guest Robin Carl saying that, like, where their son puked all over himself in the car on the way to daycare, and poor Carl was just like cleaning him up as fast as possible to get him into daycare.
Because, I mean, that doesn't necessarily signify flu. It might have just been a little car sickness or food poisoning or whatever.
Could have been
scurvy.
anything.
Could have been anything. Yeah. Could have been gonorrhea. We don't know. Literally, we don't know.
So, Trystan, enough of us. Tell us about you. How'd you begin your parenting journey? Could you please?
By the seat of my pants. I mean, literally, we got a call from my partner. Like, my partner has 3 siblings. All of them have kids. One of them was really struggling, and that sister's social worker called my partner and said, can you take these kids? They're going to be pulled from the home on Monday. I don't know that they will be able to earn the kids back. The bar is pretty high at this point, given the mistakes they've made. And it's okay if you can't, but then they're probably going to be separated and put into foster care and adopted out. And we were about a year into our relationship.
That is fresh.
Wow.
I mean, there are so many things to unpack there, not the least of which is we have had a lot of different parenting scenarios in our year plus of Gaytriarchs. But that is a scenario we have never come across. Yeah. Wow. But I mean, the obvious question is, were you planning to be dads together?
I mean, I was on a 5-year track. My partner was on a 10-year track. And then it went to a 0-year track.
Yeah. Your kids were like, we're going to fuck up your track.
And they've been fucking it up ever since.
No.
Okay.
Right.
So, and what... you probably had no expectations at that point for parenting.
Honestly, this is going to sound silly. I just really thought that it would be like being an uncle, but like forever. And that was wrong. That was wrong. Because I was a really good uncle, and I just thought this is going to be fun. Not just this is going to be fun, but there was that, like, we can save them. It was like a chance to do good in the world. And like, if working hard and getting a job in the nonprofit movement, and like, if all of that isn't to help other people, then what is it for? I was kind of like, look at us, we're so selfless moment. Just really, really not realizing how incredibly difficult it was going to be and how woefully underprepared we were. One story about how underprepared we were. The kids were 1 and 3 when they came to live with us. And at one point we took them to a little indoor play place, like a little playground, but inside.
Another petri dish.
Another petri dish. Yep. And the 3-year-old, he like lifted his arms up and his little pants just fell right down, which I thought was so cute and endearing. And I took a little picture and I sent it to my friend, who was like, their pants are adjustable. Right?
Adorable.
I was like, well, what do you mean? And she was like, that there's like a rubber band thing inside and buttons. That's what that's for. You can tighten the pants. So that's how unprepared we were, as I did not know how toddler pants worked.
If I'm being totally honest with you, Trystan, I don't think I knew that before you just said it. And I have a 4 and a 2-year-old. I didn't know that those pants were adjustable. So now I'm going to have to go upstairs and check and make sure that I didn't miss something.
Yeah. It's the height of toddler technology, though, that to have those adjustable pants. Thank goodness for them, because otherwise literally nothing would fit and they would run around naked all the time, which might be a better place anyway. But
And like, huskier kids wouldn't be able to wear normal pants. They
Yeah.
can. They work because bodies are awesome and also
Yep.
very diverse.
But also, I feel like kids' body. This is something I've learned because, again, 4 and 2, like the kids, when kids are small, when they're just starting to walk, they've got these big Buddha bellies, and I never knew why. And then you find out it's because they don't, their rib cage isn't big enough to house their organs, so all their organs are kind of in their belly. And then as they grow, they start to slim. So my daughter is wearing my 2-year-old is wearing 5T clothes. So was my son. But then as he got bigger and taller, he got skinnier and his clothes started shrinking. And it's just fucking chaos with the sizes. They're like, my mom was like, hey, what pants should I buy your son? I was like, I don't fucking know. I don't know what size
Adjustable
he
ones.
is. Yeah.
Right. All just adjustable.
Now you know.
I mean, but not at all easing into it. You went from 0 to 60, having a 1-year-old and 3-year-old. You got none of the romance yet of the babyhood. You were just chasing toddlers.
And none
around.
of the dreaming, none of the prepping, none of that. Yeah.
No, none at all. And obviously they had been living in less than ideal circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
And so they had a lot of communication challenges, behavior challenges.
Mm-hmm.
The 1-year-old had a pretty severe infection we had to get taken care of right away. So there were physical issues.
Mm-hmm.
We went from 0 to 2 kids with no warning.
Yeah.
And they have failed to leave.
When did you and your partner look at each other and like say, "Oh my God, can we do this?" And then when did you say, "Okay, we got this"?
The second thing has never happened.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah.
It's been 13 years. And at no point have I said, I think we got this. That's not true. We had one hard conversation with a 13-year-old that went really well. And I was like, yes, we got this. Everything fell apart literally 24 hours later. But I would say like the point where my partner said, I don't think we should do this was before they came. I was like super gung ho. I was like, this is going to be amazing. Like whether it's short term, long term, whatever, like we got this. And my partner was like, I don't think you know what you're getting into.
Mm-hmm.
And so my partner knew very early on before they even came, like as we're driving up to pick them up, this is a bad idea. Wow. And I think it was about 2 weeks for me. I had to take a leave from work because we didn't have any legal connection to them in the beginning. So we couldn't enroll them in preschool. We couldn't do anything. We couldn't really take them to a doctor. I did end up taking the 1-year-old to a doctor for the infection and just lied and said we were traveling and I didn't have my insurance stuff and we'll pay out of pocket, whatever, just urgent care.
Yeah.
But I say 2 weeks in, after 2 just horrific weeks of like, not just diapers and throwing up, but tantrums, communication challenges, hitting other kids, falling asleep at weird times, not sleeping all the way through the night. I mean, it was just a disaster. And there was one night when I just started crying and I was like, is it too late to give them back?
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
And my partner was like, yeah, asshole, it's too late.
Yeah.
But everybody has that feeling at some point, for sure.
But that is in my opinion, that is the hardest time. And you've been thrown to the wolves, and they have these special challenges. Like everything hits you at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's cute that you think that's the hardest time because your kids are 2 and 4. And when you get to social media, bullying, self-harm, depression, anxiety, dating, sneaking out, all the things that come with being a teenager, it's like, oh no. Yeah.
You know what the worst part about parenting is? Older parents. You guys fuck it up for us. You're not letting me get excited about the future. Come on. Why every day I get Gavin being like, oh, just you wait. We have a musical moment of just you wait because he says it so often.
Yeah. So thank you for joining me in the Just You Waiting, Trystan. And frankly, you're just you waiting me because I'm just a couple years behind you and have all of these things to look forward to.
I mean, but it's both, right? It's like, it gets infinitely harder. It also gets infinitely better in a lot of ways. It's hard for me to see it right now because of where the kids are. But like, I think it was 2 years ago when my middle child, who's 13 now, was 11. And I had a bunch of work trips to do. And I took her with me. And we like flew to New York, saw Blue Man Group on Broadway in Hadestown. She like did all the like checking people into my work event, getting them to sign in
Oh,
and showing them
nice.
where the seats were. And then we took the bus down to Boston and we like hung out with some gay dads that I know in Boston and like saw like a circus, like modern circus performers. Like it was so cool. It was so fun. I could not do that with a 6-year-old flying across the
No.
country, taking a train. I mean, you can, but it's no fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you had
Yeah.
a co-pilot in that
I
point.
did.
Not-
Yeah. And yes, someone to be like, yeah, like even though it's 10 o'clock at night, let's grab ice cream sundaes on our way home from the Broadway play. Like
Yeah.
that's fun.
Totally.
That's
Because
fun.
well, I'll pay for this tomorrow, but you're still functioning still, and it's fun to be able to do that for sure. Take them off the
Yeah.
grid a little bit. So, well, actually, before we move on from them, though, do you mind sharing a little bit about why is everything so stressful right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of it is age. They're 13 and 16, the two kids that we adopted. And, it's just challenging. And I think we also underestimated how important those early years are for their own development of self and their mental health and wellness. And trauma in those early years has lifelong effects. What happens ripples out into the whole rest of their lives. And it can show up different for any person. But for them, they're still grappling with the effects of that, as are we as parents.
Yeah. And society, frankly, for that matter. But so not to be left without having more challenges in your life, you decided to have another kid. Will you tell us about that?
Yeah. It seemed like a good idea at the time.
Which I think is every parent's story. I thought it was a good idea. And then, no.
Yeah. Well, the big kids were a little bit older than they had been, like around 5 and 7, and like school has started and we're like, oh, okay, things are settling down a little bit. If my partner could go back to work, which was helpful for us financially. And I had long had a feeling that there was a child who wanted to be born into our family. Since early on in our relationship, which, I didn't share with Biff because that's an awkward first date kind of a thing,
Yeah.
I've been having dreams about our baby. That's weird, and so I just didn't say anything. And then the toddlers came and that was our whole life. But as it settled, I start to have this, that sort of little voice was calling to me. And I basically pitched it to my partner. I'm a transgender man and I have dozens of friends who are transgender men who've gotten pregnant, had babies, etc. It wasn't a big deal to me or to us, medically or even quite frankly, socially.
Yeah.
And so I just said, would you ever think about having a baby, the two of us having a baby? And Biff was like, no.
No.
Nope.
I love that. Period.
That was-
I heard the period in that. It wasn't no ... It was no period. Yeah.
Then, of course, yes, long silence. And then I'm sure that Biff saw how mortified I was and was like, well, I love you very much. If this is something you really want to do, of course, I'll consider it, but no.
Yeah. Thank you for your input, but no. Yeah.
And we went back and forth, for quite some time. And a really good friend of ours, Bear, actually recommended, like, why don't you put a moratorium on talking about it? Like, set a time limit. Just say for the next 3 months, we're not going to talk about this. And we can each meditate on it on our own. We can go to the trusted people in our lives and get feedback, input, but we're not going to keep going, well, what about this? Just no, we're going to that's it. And so we did. We put a moratorium on it. And, I continued to talk to people in my life and Biff continued to talk to people in his life. And, eventually he came back around and was like, you stepped into the unknown with me and, these kids came from my family and it was really my decision ultimately to do this. And you went with me on it. And you trusted me. And now it's time for me to trust you. If you think that this is the next chapter for our family, I trust you and let's do it.
That's great. And it did create waves. I mean, did you look for those waves or is it because you have a pretty public persona anyway that the waves just found you?
It's a little bit of all the things. Once I did, we had partnered with this really cool podcast, which no longer exists, a parenting podcast called The Longest Shortest Time with Hillary Frank. She was the host. It was like my favorite podcast. I remember literally like I took the bus home one day from work. I was listening to an episode. It was so good. And at the end, they all, podcasts always do that little pitch where they're like, if you have a non-traditional parenting story, you might be a guest on Longest Shortest Time. And I was like, yes, I do. So I wrote them a little email and sent it. And they had us on to talk about the adoption of the kids, the kids coming to live with us and everything. And that had gone really well. They really treated our story respectfully and with kindness and care and love. They cut out all the things where I sounded like an idiot. They kept in all the things where I sounded really smart.
We will not be cutting those.
We're just FYI, we do the opposite. Yeah, we're keeping the idiot stuff, and we're going to get rid of anything where you sound eloquent and beautiful and wonderful. Just FYI, that's kind of our bread and butter.
It's going to be pretty easy for y'all on that. I'll make it as easy as possible. And so we told our story through that already. But I didn't have like a big persona or national presence, really. I was just working at a nonprofit and doing my thing. But once I did get pregnant, I did sit down with Biff and I said, I think it's the right time for the culture to grapple with a trans pregnancy story in a big way. Obviously, I am not the first transgender man who's ever had a baby.
Certainly.
There's hundreds, probably thousands across the world. And it's not even new. It's been happening for at least 20 years. My friend Matt has a son, Blake, who's 20 years old-ish around this time. So it's not new, and I'm not the only, but, I just thought it was the right time for that kind of a story. And in the trans community, particularly trans men, we've always handed off the mic to transgender women. That's what we did. That's what we wanted to do.
Really?
They were yes. If you're at a conference, if you're at a rally, if you're at an event and a media person comes to you and says, tell us about Trans Day of Remembrance.
Really?
No, talk to her.
Interesting. I mean, I get in your tone what you're implying, but I didn't realize it was kind of such an unwritten rule. And tell us why.
It's not just an unwritten, it's a written rule. We all teach each other that, that as transgender men, most of us were not visibly trans. And so we aren't targeted by transphobia in the same way. Transgender women are having to grapple with sexism and transphobia. And if they're women of color, racism as well. They're really at a pretty brutal intersection. And their voices are systematically silenced, undervalued, belittled, dismissed. And so it was always our job as trans men to elevate their voices and to hand off the mic. And that's been happening. I'm like a dinosaur in trans years, and I've been out as trans for over 20 years. That's always been the way. But I had this moment when I was in the early days of my pregnancy where it just started to feel like maybe we'd gone too far, that we were expecting transgender women to do all of the educating, to be on the front lines of all of the cultural movements, to be pushing TV shows and books and movies. And all of a sudden they're the ones that are, because of the visibility, also the targets.
Yeah.
And I watched that whatever interview where Janet Mock was, asked about her genitalia. And I was like, this is so gross. Oh no, like what have we done? And so I thought it was a responsible thing to do as a transgender man with the privileges I have living in Portland. It's pretty safe here. Yeah. And then of course, being white, being not someone that people used to see on the street and know was trans. That's all changed now since my pregnancy. But yeah, so I just sat down and I said, I think the most responsible thing here, if we want to be a part of changing the narrative about trans people and queer families, I think it's time that we told our story. And it's a positive story, it's creating new life. It's bringing life into the world. And I thought that it was going to go really well. I did not understand the kind of waves that it was actually going to make.
But it did go well, hasn't it?
Yes and no. I know that like our brains remember the negative things more than the positive. I know that. And there was a lot of positive. But the negative, I think, was particularly for me as like a pretty tender person, I really wasn't prepared for the kinds of violent language that was going to be geared
Mhm.
directed at me, geared toward me.
Of
I
course.
really wasn't prepared for the level of vitriol and the
Mhm.
scale of vitriol. I did never imagine that like Alex Jones would be like ranting about me on his
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just
Mhm.
like I didn't think that I'd be talked about on Fox News. I didn't think that that literal Nazis were going to tweet out my home address. You
Mhm.
know,
Ugh,
it's like things like
yeah.
that you're like, "Oh, I was not ready for that."
Wow, my hindsight is rose-colored glasses. I'm sorry that I even brought that up, frankly, assuming that it was a positive thing. And yet, you're here and you have channeled all of your experience into making the world a better place with your career and with your visibility and family.
Yeah, I've really tried.
I think there's also something to be looked at. We talked about this a couple weeks ago with some other trans dads we were interviewing. Sometimes I feel like when Alex Jones is talking about you and Fox News is talking about, I don't mean the home address and the actual violence. Sometimes to me, that's an accolade. If you're making them upset, you're doing something right. If you're making the oppressors furious, I feel like there's something good that you're doing in the world. I'm curious, what was the physical what was the things that were great about being pregnant, and what were some fucked up things that you fucking hated?
Lots on both sides. The whole pregnancy experience, honestly, I just felt like start to finish, like this is such a cool, weird, gross thing. You know, it's like all of those things.
Yeah.
Some of there were just so many beautiful moments. I think the intimacy that just like there's like another human that's growing inside of me and he's just mine for now. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Just like I don't know, it's weird because it's just a little zygote and then like a little weird, dragon looking fetus for so long. But it was like I just had like a little friend, like like a little buddy, someone who, my body was nurturing and growing and nourishing. And that was really cool. Like the feeling the hiccups was really cool.
Uh-huh.
Because, it's like he's really in there and that's his lungs like practicing growing. I got really into the science. I watched so many documentaries about human development. It was just so cool. And especially having the big kids too, to be able to tell them, like, for example, oh, so in this week, the fetus is starting to develop fingerprints.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Things
Yeah, that's
like
exciting.
that.
Those apps are amazing that you can track. You're like, it's the size of a blueberry, and today they're growing their right lung. And
Yeah.
you're like, ooh, a right lung.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
Was it weird to feel like you were getting punched from the inside, like towards the end? Like our surrogate, I remember one time being like, your son just kicked me in the spine from the inside. I was like, oh, sorry, I'll punish him when he comes out.
I never felt like he was punching me or kicking me, but there was movement and that was weird. Like you could, like literally his little elbow or knee or something, you could like see it, the little bump on the outside, and then just kind of massage it in. Okay, get back in place, bud. But then the hard parts were a lot because all my hippie friends told me that your body won't grow a baby that's too big for it. That is false.
That is not true information.
That was inaccurate. And he was a gigantic monster baby. And I was a narrow person, and so that was hard. And so I had rib separation, which is where your ribs start to separate from your sternum.
Not cool.
No, her bad.
Kids are fucking nightmares from before they're born. They're already fucking you up from before they even come out.
Exactly.
Rib separation. Jesus.
So one element of your family that we haven't talked about, and I've been fascinated for years, your Instagram handle at least used to be, maybe it still is, at Biff and I. Biff is a really big part of the family, but you are the face of the family in large part, right? How does Biff like being your entertaining sidekick, or what is Biff's role in the family?
Also, amazing name, Biff.
And
by the
also,
way, like obviously Biff Tannen from Back to the Future, but like Biff, what a great name.
How does Biff like being? Well, Biff certainly does not see himself as my sidekick.
Well, that's good. Yeah, I mean, it is amazing. The irony being, it's your Instagram handle, but Biff's name is the handle. So
the handle.
I mean,
but and it
Biff
is very
not
confusing to people,
right?
But I think it's with every kind of relationship, at least the good ones, where it's a pretty constant ebb and flow between sort of like who's the starring character and, you know, who's the understudy. And, you know, I know that for that period of time, it was the Trystan show, you know, and yes, my Instagram handle was Biff and I, but I'm still the I, you know?
Mhm.
And I think right now it's much more the Biff show in our family. You know, Biff is like just got an amazing job working at an organization where he's been the president of the board for years and is now, you know, the executive, like deputy executive director, and is like doing consulting work on the side. And I'm much more like the one who's like dropping and picking up the kids and going to the track meet and arranging play dates, you know. And so it's just, there's always an ebb and a flow. And Biff will do whatever I tell him to do. You know, if I said like, you know, like one of the morning shows, they flew their crew out, you know, to interview us around the pregnancy time. And I said, oh, you know, the whatever Good Morning America is going to be here tomorrow. And, you know, I want you to dress like this because it's this kind of show. And here's the audience and here are your talking points. And, you know, like Biff was like, oh, okay, sure, whatever.
Nice.
Yeah.
It helps that he goes along with that. That's great. Well, then speaking then of the work you do, tell us about what your career path is these days.
Yeah. So I run my own consulting firm, Collaborate Consulting, which I love. I have ADHD, and so I really need work where there is pretty consistent, like excitement, you know, like a lot of different things. And so I don't know, just as an example, last week I was writing content for like an education tech accelerator. And I did a training on gender neutral pronouns for a government power agency.
Nice.
And then I did one-on-one coaching for someone at an arts organization who has ADHD, who's on a performance improvement plan around, you know, attention, focus, follow through, prioritization. And then I did a keynote at a conference in person in Seattle. So it's just like all those different things, which I love. So lots of coaching one-on-one, lots and lots of training, you know, how to use gender neutral pronouns, other inclusion things, a lot around communication, intercultural communication. Yeah.
Fantastic.
All right, let's go low level. All right. Michelle Obama, when they go high, we go low. All right. So tell us some nightmare stories about your kids. I want to hear when you were covered in shit. I want to hear when you dropped them on the pavement in front of the Walmart. Give me some nightmare stories.
You know, this I struggle with only because like I already wrote a book and told some of their stories. So I'm just trying to think about like, what are my stories to tell versus their stories to tell?
Oh, well, the stories that you told in the book, have they now transferred to being their stories? Are they horrified that you told some of those?
No, not at all. In fact, it was funny. Our 13-year-old, I think last year, she like found a copy of the book like in the house somewhere and read it. And it was really funny because she would come out of her room and she would look at Biff with this like nasty look. And Biff's like, what? And she's like, I'm just at the part of the story where you tried to say that you didn't want to raise me. You know, so whatever the thing is, whatever the story, this is before they came to live with us. You know, it's just us figuring out whether we want to do this or not. And so it's so funny to watch her go through the stages. And I asked her permission. You know, she and I have always had a really close relationship. And I asked her permission to include XYZ stories in the book. Of course, she said yes, but she was like 10 when it came out, you know, and I imagine what she thinks is okay at 10 is going to be different at 16.
Totally.
But definitely so many poop stories.
Give us one. Give us your favorite.
Oh my gosh. Well, it was the first time that I was like, oh, I can do this. You know, just like I am a parent. And what had happened was, she must have been 1.5. And we were playing, and then like out of nowhere, she turns to me and she just pukes, just throws up all over me, all over herself. And I'm like, oh my God. So then I pick her up to try and get the puke off of her. And then she has a poop explosion from the diaper.
Oh, nice. Okay. Nice.
So it comes out over my pants, my shirt, and then I've still got the vomit on me. And without even stopping to think like, this is disgusting, I just went into like that full parent mode where it was just like, okay, great, here we go. I scoop her up, run the shower, take the clothes off, diaper in the trash, clothes in the hamper, pick her up, we're in the soapy water without even thinking.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then that's when I was like, oh, like there's some kind of, ancestral instinct, something that is triggered here, which I don't know that. I think some people don't think that can happen if your kids are adopted or, not genetically related to you. That's just not true.
Not true
It's
at
just
all.
not. And so that was the time when I was like, oh, okay, all right, this is happening.
You earned one of your parenting merit badges, which is just being covered in various liquids and not knowing what to do.
But then when your son was born, was there a sense of like, oh, well, this kind of poop explosion is not something I had experienced before because I first became a dad with the toddlers?
Yeah, it was a little bit different, but I think honestly, because of the trial by fire, from going from 0 to 2 toddlers overnight, he was so easy.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt.
So number one, he's just been an easy baby. He's been an easy kid. He's 6. We went to a school event last night and the presenter, it was a literacy event, and the presenter's like, now kids, how many of you feel like life is always easy and that your life is perfect? Because he's trying to make the point that life is hard for kids, right? My kid raises his hand. He's the only one in the auditorium of kids. And then I look at him and he goes, what? My life's pretty good.
Well, that's edifying for sure.
That's great.
He's just, you know what I mean? Like, that's just how he is. That's his personality. Or
Yep.
even when, a kid at school bullies him or something. And I was like, oh my God, a kid bullied you? He's like, yeah, I just didn't listen. Like it's just his personality. And he was that from when he was born. So the poop explosions, they weren't that bad. They weren't as bad as toddler.
Well, always our last question. What is the best thing about parenting and what's the worst thing about parenting?
Well, I like to always end on a high note. And so I think
what's the worst thing and then what's the best?
Yeah, the worst thing is that just like the world is hard.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I've put so much love and care and work into these kids, but the world is still hard and there's so little I can do to continue to keep them safe and to have them feel loved the further and further away they get from me as they get older and older. So I think that's the hardest part.
Sure.
And I think the best part is, I think, what happened for us during COVID, which is just the closeness, just the being known, the seeing them for all of who they are and them seeing me for all of who I am, just that the family feeling like cells in the same organ, that there's just this give and this take, and, we give each other some grace and we kind of tell each other when the boundary is crossed, that sort of flow. It just feels really wonderful, especially given how scary the world continues to be, to know that in this house, we can all be real with each other and we can all be safe and have some fun. And I think that's the best part. That and
awesome.
The 6-year-old still sometimes creeps into bed with me at night, which I really appreciate.
Totally.
So
well, Trystan, thank you for being here and seeing us and bringing your truth and demeaning yourself by being on our stupid little podcast. Thank you for joining us, Trystan.
Not at all. It's my pleasure.
I had one of those moments, just you wait, just the other day, when my daughter, who's in middle school, was having a very middle school kind of day. And she started to really open up to me in the car. And I was able to turn to her, and I wanted the conversation to keep going. I wanted her to keep going. So I said, you know what this conversation calls for? Starbucks. I say no to Starbucks all the goddamn time for her because, man, does she love an $8 venti, what is it? A pink drink, light ice, special fucking foam, and it's all so expensive. And I am so cheap. It drives me crazy. But I said, let's keep it going. And it worked. We went to Starbucks, and when she sidled up and ordered a grande, I said, make it a venti.
And
I gotta say, I absolutely bribed her into keeping talking to me. And frankly, when you get to this age, you'll do anything to keep them talking. So thank you, Starbucks. What about you?
I feel like I've learned anything from you as a parent of tweens and teens. It's that bribery is the name of the game.
I've been doing it for the last 12 years.
Yeah,
I mean, don't you?
Well, not really. They're just too young for it now. I mean, I guess a little bit, but like, no, I'm taking notes. Trust me. My something great is also something in the fast food sphere. So this may have been a something great of mine before, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. Hey, our listener has lost, it has no idea what we said 13 episodes ago. It's fine.
The Wendy's app. Hear me out.
I definitely think you have used this before.
Okay, you know what? It's worth a second one because this app, we go to Wendy's a couple times a week, if I'm totally being honest. They have great salads. I love their chili. Like, I don't want to talk about it. But not only do you get the normal things, right? Points, and then you collect a certain amount of points, you get free items. But every single day, there's like 8 to 10 coupons in there that are almost always $3 to $5 off something, or a free cheeseburger, or a free Frosty, or a free something. Guys, if you go to Wendy's and you're not using the app, what are you doing in your life? And if you go to Wendy's with children and having to get multiple meals, get those points, baby. So somehow, you know what? My something great this week is the Wendy's app.
I would love to know what our Venn diagram overlap is of Wendy's regulars and Gaytriarchs listeners. Absolutely. Please start a thread out there somewhere, get us some traction, and let us know if you go to Wendy's and you listen to Gaytriarchs.
And unfortunately, that is our show. If you have any comments, suggestions, or general compliments, you can email us at GaytriarchsPodcast@gmail.com.
Or you can DM us on Instagram. We are at GaytriarchsPodcast. On the internet, David is at David FM Bond everywhere, and Gavin is at Gavin Lodge at McDonald's.
Please leave us a glowing 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts.
Thanks, and we'll use your app next time on another episode of Gaytriarchs.